So, let me qualify this. Stop pitching. I'm following you, Jameen, so. This is going to apply to social media, okay? So, it's not to stop pitching your business to people in networking or anything like that. How many of you are on social media in some way, shape, or form? Okay. How about for your businesses? You have a Facebook page. You have Twitter accounts for your businesses, Instagram, all that. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile?
Absolutely.
I didn't see every hand, and I should see every hand. Because if you're business people, you have to be on LinkedIn. Have to be. How many of you would classify your LinkedIn profile as being complete? About 60%. When your profile is complete, it means you have a nice clear headshot. All the job title, job description, everything is filled in with some good keywords about what you do, things related to what you do. You also put up some other things on there that are part of your portfolio. So here's a big one. It's social media related. It's not specifically social media, but how many of you write a blog? And it's on your own website. How often do you write it, sir?
Once a week.
Once a week. Okay, do you stick to that? Be honest. You can be honest. Look.
Like twice a month.
Okay.
Sometimes I can run pretty good as far as once a week, but like twice a month.
Okay. Man.
Twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay. Good. That's good. If you're writing a blog, as long as you're on schedule, on some sort of a schedule, once a month, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a day. Francis, how often do you write for your blog?
Well, I write it usually over the weekend, and I email it and post it to my whole social media network every Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday morning, once a week. It's up there, right? Like clockwork. If I'm subscribing to your blog, I know Tuesday morning I'm getting something from you. Perfect. Here's a funny thing, not to go off track. You have 2 people from Rhode Island here in the room. Francis I used to work for Francis actually, way back. And at WALE, back in the day, we haven't talked about this, because I didn't realize he was here. But Francis knows what he's doing. So all of you folks that are doing your shows on 1100, just know that he knows how to put the shows out there and get people to listen, and he knows what he's talking about. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were all aware of that. Okay, so stop pitching. Hashtag stop pitching. Who knows how to use a hashtag? Who uses hashtags? Who has a branded hashtag for their company? What's your branded hashtag?
It's RWR and Homey for House Miracles and RWR for Real Women.
And you use those in every tweet, pretty much? Perfect. Did everybody hear that? When you have a hashtag like that, use it in everything. So for me, stop pitching, I've kind of taken this as my own. The other thing that I like to say is I'm not a guru, maven, ninja, or rock star when it comes to social media. You can throw a Jedi in there too, right? That's another popular one. Kind of the reasoning behind that is I know what I'm talking about, but I don't need to call myself that in order to let you know that I know what I'm talking about. So if I'm approaching you at a business event like this, or on the street or something, I'm not going to call myself a social media guru. It's just not going to happen. First slide. So here's what I did when I was coming up with some ideas for this. How many of you have written down on a napkin concepts, some things you've thought about, anything like that? The back of a napkin. That's what I did. The best content creation tool ever. That's where a lot of things have started. Super technologically advanced, using the back of a napkin. Mind mapping, brainstorming. All these things can happen just on this little piece of paper, piece of cloth. It's really valuable. So that's where I started. Next slide. And what was happening was I was thinking and going through some of these concepts and keywords of what I find myself talking about with people, having the conversations, the discussions. You know, even when I first walked in here, I started talking to folks and some of this stuff came up. It always does. Telling the story. This is the most important thing you can do when it comes to your brand, when it comes to your business. What is the story of your business? What is the story of that day? What is the story of the particular campaign that you're running for that week? You need to tell a story in order for people to pay attention these days. You can't just throw stuff out there and expect them to pay attention. It's not going to happen. The who, what, why, and how, when and where is included in the how. Who is your audience? Who are you talking to? Or who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to reach out to? What do you want to share with them? What's the story behind that? Why are you sharing with this with them? This is one that gets missed a lot. Why are you doing this? Just to get money? To get someone to get a response, to generate leads? What is the reason? Have a reason why you're doing something. And how are you providing this info to them? When and where? This goes to the platforms themselves. Facebook is different from LinkedIn, is different from Twitter, is different from Vine, is different from Instagram. I mean, it goes on and on. So you really have to know where your audience is that you're trying to reach, and then also figure out, what do you use best? If you're great on LinkedIn or great on Facebook, but you know nothing about Instagram, don't use Instagram. Don't do it. Don't do it. Unless you're going to start researching it and really learning how to use it specifically. We can go next. Next slide. Communication is the root of our existence. Does anyone agree with that? At this point, it's instantaneous with, I mean, not just social media, really, it's anything, right? It's your phone, text messaging. Now, as was mentioned before, the Apple products, OD, I'm a fan also. I don't know if that alienates some folks, but I'm definitely an Apple fan. And so I was watching the event the other day. The Apple Watch is going to change things. It's going to change things. And what Apple does, not to digress too much, but what Apple does is they create categories. They don't sell products, they create entirely new categories. That's why they succeed to the level they do. Communication on social media can be scheduled. I'm sure some of you out there schedule posts on your Facebook page to go out. Hopefully you do that for your brand. And you have total control of what goes out. What comes back in is a whole other story. And then what results from that can also be a whole other story. There's so many horror stories about companies that misuse these platforms and react badly. Has anyone here heard of Amy's Baking Company? I see some heads nodding. Amy's Baking Company, for those of you that haven't heard, roughly a year ago, they're in Scottsdale. They were on Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, which is, he goes in, and it's because they reached out to him, this chef, to come in and fix their restaurant, because they're having problems. The food was good, there were no complaints about the desserts and all that, but it was the service and the owners. And the show show that. If you go on YouTube or Google, whatever, and search for Amy's Bakery or Amy's Baking Company in Scottsdale, you'll see it. You'll see it, trust me. It was national news, it was a big deal. They did it totally wrong. Totally wrong. You can't react that way. They reacted entirely negatively, swearing, calling people crazy, and I mean more than that, on their Facebook page in the comments, responding. They took it down, they said someone hacked their page, which is, of course, right? Which we know was not true at this point. And they think the whole world is out to get them, essentially. So that's an extreme case, but there's a lot of cases like that. So the one thing that you don't want to do is react in that way. Next slide. The social of everything. So everything is social. Talk with people. Social media is a tool. It is not the be-all and end-all of communication. It is the way to start the conversation. How many people have, by a show of hands, started a conversation with someone from a comment on a blog or something on Facebook, a group, and ended up meeting that person in real life and making some sort of friendship out of that? Couple, okay. Okay. Do that more. Do that more. In a real way. IRL, that's in real life. Meet people in real life from digital and social media. My favorite phrase right now is hashtags to handshakes. Meeting people online in the terms of developing these relationships, all different kinds of relationships. So for me, lately, I've been doing these things called Twitter chats. Has anyone done Twitter chats? A couple people, okay. Basically what you do is there's a hashtag, so the hashtag could be RSG chat, which might not be a bad idea, actually. No, but think about it. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not on Twitter, I don't have time to do Twitter. Would you have an hour to network with this group right here on a weekly or monthly basis, and then others that are brought into that chat? Would that make sense for a lot of people? Okay, I see some heads nodding. Next slide. Bad drawing, awful happy face. Kill them with kindness. Again, back to the negativity. Don't be that person online. Don't be that critical person that just is constantly talking down to people online. Yes. Negativity gets you nowhere. Everybody can use constructive criticism. Now, depending on the relationship you have with someone, they may not accept it. And it depends on the way that you word it as well. But constructive criticism is absolutely helpful for just about anyone. Next slide. What do you bring to the conversation? This is the most important thing right here. So if there's anything that you want to write down from any of this that I'm talking about, it's value. Provide value and be helpful to people. Be helpful to people. Don't go crazy with all this other stuff. If you give people valuable information that they're looking for, answer their questions directly. Not direct them to, oh, you can find this information about me here, over here, rather than you could just tell them that right now. Just do it. But you wouldn't walk up to someone on the street and just start talking to them and sell them your business. So why would you do it in this platform, on these platforms? You wouldn't. Take pride in what you create also. Don't just throw stuff out there because you're constantly representing yourself. You, each and every one of you, you are your brand. You are your brand. When someone sees you, they see your business or your brand. Next slide. Sorry, I didn't mean. Don't sell. Don't sell on social media. There's a book out there by a gentleman by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. Some of you may have heard of him. He's a pretty big deal within social media. I gotta talk to you after this is over, because you're all over it. He wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook, meaning you give, and then you ask to take. Boxing analogy. I like to take it a step further. Jab, 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 keep jabbing until they throw in the towel. So, at some level, you shouldn't have to ask for the sale on social media. Or it may not get to that point. It may be that it comes offline, again, with the in real life, hashtags, the handshakes, all of that. But that's what you're trying to do. You want them to come to you, and you want them to like you, because people in general are gonna buy from someone that they like. Next slide. Here's the jam-packed LinkedIn slide. A bunch of stuff on it. All the little tips and things. This is way more text than I like to put on a slide, but I wanted it there. We're gonna put all these slides up on SlideShare. If any one of you use SlideShare, it's a platform for PowerPoints, PDFs, white papers. It's a really good business resource. So slideshare.com, you go on and create a profile. LinkedIn owns it, so it ties in very well with that. Some of the tips real quick, make sure your profile's on point. Groups on LinkedIn, find groups that you like, that interest you, that make sense for you. And go in and start answering questions. Talk to people in the groups. LinkedIn Publisher is a way to blog on LinkedIn. Everybody has access to this now. LinkedIn is not a place to pitch. It's a place to be credible and to be a thought leader. Next. And that's it. So all my information's up here, at Vin_Orleck on Twitter, my Gmail, but we'll have all these up on SlideShare. You can see everything. Thank you.